I guess
think
something
we
that's pretty
should.
sick when it comes to Take-Two.
Yeah. Yeah. So this section article, gamesindustry.biz. First article of the week. It is about Take-Two reportedly planning to close and or sell Private Division. Sources claim publisher told staff in April that it will no longer support indie-focused label Private Division. Take-Two is planning to close or potentially sell its indie-focused publishing label Private Division. It's coming from James Batchelor. Said that's according to the IGN report, which cites sources familiar with the matter who say almost all Private Division staff have been laid off. Take-Two has declined to comment. Management reportedly told employees in April that Take-Two would no longer support the publishing label, with only a handful of staff left to handle remaining publishing deals. These include Moon Studios' No Rest for the Wicked, Wētā Workshop's Tales of the Shire, and an unannounced title from Pokemon developer Game Freak. At least 2 other publishing deals are said to have been dropped. Bloober team revealed last week it lost its deal with Private Division for an unannounced survival horror game, while IGN reports the other was with one more level, the developer behind Ghost Runner. Take-Two is said to be in discussions with potential buyers for Private Division, with an unnamed private equity firm showing interest. The publisher has also been looking into selling the Kerbal Space Program IP, potentially with Kerbal Space Program 2 developer Intercept Games included. All of this follows a series of reports that indicate Private Division is shrinking. Take-Two reportedly closed both the label's subsidiaries, Rollerdrome developer Roll7 and Intercept Games. CEO Strauss Zelnick later said neither studio has technically been closed, but a WARN notice indicates Intercept will be shut down this month, with staff confirming they've been widespread layoffs at the studio. Private Division changes follow Take-Two's announcement of laying off 5% of all staff as part of a third cost reduction program in just over a year. Private Division, Mike, could be a goner. Could be.
I mean, this is more of what we've seen, right? In terms of the industry, just total chaos.
Yeah.
It seems like everything's up for sale, everything's closing, recalibrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what it seems like. It's interesting that it's kind of either they haven't like just closed it. They're like, we're gonna try and sell it. Which I think there could maybe be a redeeming quality there, but it seems like there's already been people that have been laid off, so I don't know how that would work. If people would get their jobs back, or they just have to rehire. It's kind of like weird. They just haven't closed the door. I mean, I get it. There's certainly games that need to be published, and that's a huge, it's probably the main reason why they haven't fully closed it. It's because you have all these, you still have these games that are left to ship, so it's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting how they mentioned the WARN. Remember, I brought that up a couple of weeks ago about how the WARN Act requires you to notify the federal government when you're going to make massive layoffs. So that's tough to deal with, just in general. I think it's okay though, for like from a standpoint of letting the staff know in April, which was a couple of months ago, that this would be coming. That helps in a way. It gives them some time to try to find a new job, but it's tough, I would imagine, for developers in the industry because everybody's laying off right now.
Yeah.
I wonder, the one thing we haven't really heard is there a hiring freeze? I don't think we've found anything that says there's a hiring freeze, but I would imagine it's got to be slowing down, because why would you be hiring at the same time you're laying off?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. I would think not. I mean, we still hear like developers and stuff still hiring and starting new studios and everything. So there's that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really weird. A lot of these, it's like hopefully some of these people could shift off these studios and go to other ones and balance out. But yeah, it's just strange.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
And
I know the article talks about the Bloober team. That's if I'm not mistaken, that's the team that's working on New Silent Hill, as well as other IP. And and I want to say I should have checked this beforehand, but I can't remember if Private Division was going to originally be responsible for publishing the Silent Hill 2 remake. Because if they were, that's kind of that'd be kind of awkward at this point. But it said they were working with them. But it says that they lost a deal with Private Division on an unannounced game, so I'm assuming probably Silent Hill 2. Maybe my memory doesn't serve me right there. That it is being published by someone else, but but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I remember Private Division. I another thing I should have checked beforehand is what they've actually published up until now, because there's been some games that I've played that it's like in the back of my mind I remember seeing Private Division. I feel like one of them might have been the Saints Row reboot, but I could be way off. But yeah, it's I don't know, interesting stuff.
Well, let me help you out a little bit when it comes to Private Division. So they did Kerbal Space Program. These are the games that they published.
Yeah.
Kerbal Space Program Enhanced Edition and Kerbal Space Program 2 that just came out last year. Hades is on this list, which is pretty surprising.
Hades, yeah.
The Outer Worlds is actually on this.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That's probably Roller Drome. Yeah, Roller Drome, my bad. After Us, Salt Sea Chronicles. I mean, those are kind of smaller, but Penny's Big Breakaway was one of the big ones. I think that was more of a kid game. Yeah, it kind of was. It was like an everybody game, family game. Tales of the Shire, which is kind of interesting. The one on here that's kind of interesting, more interesting than the others because it's on the TBA list, is No Rest for the Wicked, which is by Moon Studios.
Yeah.
And Moon Studios also did Ori and the Blind Forest and Will the Wisp.
Yeah.
And I remember that No Rest for the Wicked was along that same type of vein.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It seems like they're keeping some, like, you know, at least a handful of staff to still work on like publishing at least that game.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so Moon Studios, like, they should still be fine in terms of publishing. But yeah, it must have been Outer Worlds I was thinking of, where it was Private Division, that like really stood out to me when I was like looking into it, because that game did pretty well.
That game's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm actually really proud of that game because I introduced it. I introduced the Outer Wilds, or the Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds. I think that's also another game.
That's another game. I've heard really good, by the way. I haven't played it, but.
Yeah. But the Outer Worlds I introduced to one of my buddies that was like never really into that type of game, and he played it all the time. Like we lived together, and I was just like, you should download this, man. I feel like this might be up your alley of like your taste and what you might like. He downloaded it, and he was playing it more than I did. Dude was putting in like, he would do like 12-hour shifts, and then he'd come home and play for 6 straight hours to go to bed at like 3 a.m. He was like fully hooked.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's crazy.
Yeah, in terms of RPG, it's well done. I like a lot of the characters in it. I think
it is a very well done game.
It makes me what makes me excited for Avowed, and I want Avowed to come out this year. That'd be pretty sick. I'm excited to. I'm hoping in a week, Mike, maybe even next week, we could be talking about a release date for that. That'd be pretty dope. But
I think we will. I definitely think we will.
Yeah, so. We'll have to get into little predictions probably at some point towards the end of the episode. What we'll think since that's coming out this week. Since we got all the Summer Games Fest stuff this weekend, so.
I like that idea. I mean, one of those articles I saw was like what not to expect.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll obviously discuss kind of what, because I read into some of that too, of like what to expect. So we'll discuss that, I guess, towards the end. But yeah, there's definitely expectations have been set for this Game Awards have been set for the Summer Games Fest stuff. So